I'm Laura, standing in the cold courthouse, looking at my brother Mark hunched over with a restless look in his eyes. I knew this moment was a long time coming. The prosecutor had just laid out all the evidence against him: forged documents, falsified bank slips, and the Reddit post that had nearly destroyed my life, all traced back to his hospital laptop. An audit had revealed he'd stolen over $200,000 under the guise of a charitable medical grant. It all started with a simple post on Reddit. One day, I got a text from a student at the training center asking if a screenshot they sent was of me. The post, titled "My Sister Hoards a $250,000 hero grant while our family falls apart," was clearly written by Mark. Within hours, it spread like wildfire. Blogs picked it up, and a local tabloid ran a story with the headline "From Firefighter to Failure Refuses to Help Her Own Brother." Parents started pulling their kids from my programs, and I was flooded with emails. The board even asked to review my presence. Then there was the break-in. I came home to a shattered front window and my fireproof safe wide open, with important papers missing. A note inside read, "If you don't know how to share, someone will decide for you." I didn't need to be a detective to know it was Mark. But instead of going to the police with his name, I reached out to Dr. Henry, the man I'd saved in a fire years ago. Dr. Henry had been at a first responders gala that I had no intention of attending. Mark had called me out of the blue, suggesting I go. He said it might be good for me to be seen, and his boss would be there. His real request was for me to dress more formally, to be polished. After much hesitation, I decided to go, wearing my old, unwashed firefighter jacket that still smelled of smoke. At the gala, Dr. Henry recognized me. He walked up and said, "I think you pulled me out of a fire in Flagstaff in 2018, a cabin. I remember your voice. You told me to stay awake." An hour later, during his keynote speech, he pointed me out and said, "She saved my life in 2018. She pulled me from a cabin I should have died in." She never gave her name. She never took credit. But I remember her. The room fell silent, and all eyes turned to me. Before that gala, my life was very different. I was a firefighter for 15 years. One day, we got a call about an abandoned cabin on the edge of the forest outside Flagstaff. It was our third fire that week, and we were exhausted. Protocol said to clear it, but my gut told me to check again. Inside the cabin, the smoke was so thick it felt like it was scraping my lungs. The wood above me groaned, on the verge of collapse. I heard a faint cough and found a man slumped against the back wall. I knew I couldn't leave him, so I grabbed his collar and dragged him across the warped floor. A beam came down behind us, and my left arm caught a flash of flame, searing my skin through my gear. I blacked out before they took my helmet off. I spent 10 months in rehab, learning to hold a spoon again and to sleep without seeing flames. I never went back to the fire department. I just mailed in my badge with a note that said, "Thank you." I moved to a small apartment above a bike repair shop in the city. I ran fire safety workshops at local schools, trained teenagers in wilderness survival, and taught CPR on Saturdays. My students called me Miss Laura. They didn't know about my past, and they didn't care about the scar on my wrist or my slower moving left hand. They just wanted to learn how to stay alive. My family, on the other hand, never really cared. My parents were always focused on Mark, who was a successful doctor. They never asked about my burns or why I left the fire department. They just whispered about my directionless life and made jokes about my survival workshops. After the gala, Mark invited me to dinner. The house had a banner that said, "Our hero," but it felt staged. During dinner, he asked for a portion of my $250,000 hero grant to fund his trauma research. When I refused, he later showed up at my door, asking for $50,000 to pay off his Vegas debts. He threatened me, saying if I didn't help, it would stain my reputation too. But now, here in the courthouse, I'm done being silent. When the judge asked if I wanted to speak, I stood up and said, "I'm not here because I hate my brother. I'm here because silence didn't keep me safe. It just kept me small, and I'm done being small." After the judge sentenced Mark to full restitution, suspension from practicing medicine, and mandatory rehab, I opened the envelope with the remaining grant money. I used it to open the Ember House, a place where teens can learn to survive more than just fires, a place where they can learn to hold on to their dignity. A week later, Dr. Henry showed up with a small wooden box. Inside was a silver ring with a flicker of flame engraved on the inside. "You saved my life," he said. "Now, let's build something together. Something that stays warm." I reached for his hand, knowing that I'd finally walked out of the smoke. And later, I found a letter from my parents saying they were proud of me. I folded it quietly, realizing that I was never the shadow, I was always the spark.